Okay, so let's take a look at the Predator. So I really love the design of this Predator. I love the video game design. I think NECA does absolutely fantastic paint jobs when it comes to their video game figures. So as you can see on the box, it is done in the sort of very pixel style colours from the actual arcade game, which is awesome. And on the packaging, you can also see the Alien vs Predator arcade game title, Warrior Predator, this very nice design on the box. I'm not sure if that was a part of the game's artwork itself. A very pixely kind of corridor background. Then this nice image of the figure here, and all of the other figures that you can collect in this wave. So this is very cool. So I remember these guys came into shops just when I started university, and sadly I just didn't quite have the money for them, but I remember thinking I really want those. So I was finally able to get one. I did try and get this figure a couple of years back, but the seller kind of screwed me over because it was broken, but he tried to say that it wasn't broken. It was broken. So I found him again now. Unfortunately, the demon that is quality control has plagued this figure, just like it does with many of the older NECAs. His sort of computer was fused shut, and I tried opening it and it didn't end well, so I'm probably just going to super glue this back on. And as you can see, they haven't really painted the detail under there, so it's not that big of a deal. I'll just super glue it back on, so it's supposed to look like that basically. Also, there is supposed to be a black cable which runs from this into the little I think that's right, yeah, it goes from here into that little hole there. Sadly, that broke as soon as I took it out the box, which is annoying, but I'm actually okay with that because it just hinders articulation anyway. I still have the cable on the back of the arm and out of his backpack here. Now, in the packaging, his plasma caster is off, so this is what he looks like. Unfortunately, another problem is I cannot retract his blades. Or extend his blades, sorry, they are permanently stuck in there like that. As you can see, instead of the silver, they've been painted white to go along with the video game appearance. So yeah, aside from that, however, I've had no problems whatsoever. There have been some nightmare stories where limbs have broken on these specific figures, so I kept thinking to myself, was this purchase really a good idea? But so far, touch wood, I haven't had any issues at all. So what is nice about this wave of Predators that are included in this wave is they do have the ultimate articulation, so it's not like the really old Predators, and the articulation is very good on this figure. I've had no issues with it at all, so we'll just take a quick look at that. The head is on a ball joint, so you can look really far up and quite far down, which is nice. You also have a side-to-side on it, as well as a full 360, which you can achieve, but you probably don't want to do that because, like you've just seen, you will ruin the dreadlocks. So let me just fix this. So yeah, just personal advice from me, guys, don't do that because the dreadlocks are they're very neatly kept together on this figure, so twisting it all the way around, you might end up just ruining some of their positioning. So there's no need to do that really anyway. So you've got a good side-to-side motion. You can bring the right arm out to about that far, but it is hindered by the armour. You have a full 360 bicep swivel, a double joint at the elbow, a rotation at the wrist gauntlet, and a rotation at the hand, as well as a forward and back joint, which is very good. On the right arm, however, if you want to keep your cable intact, you will not be able to move this much at all. In fact, what's really bad about it is you can barely even move it forward and back, otherwise it'll break. You do have a bicep swivel, but it's quite hindered, like I say, because if you move the bicep, that will snap the cable as well. You have you do have a double joint bend at the shoulder, at the elbow, but once again, you want to be very careful with that, because if you push it any further than this, you are going to break that cable. Same with rotating the gauntlet, The hand is free though, that shouldn't cause any problems, but this is the trouble. And I will say one of the reasons why this happens more than normal is because of the accessory that the Predator has. So getting him to hold the accessory in a way that looks good, you're probably going to end up snapping these cables. So personally, I'd have preferred that NECA just didn't include them. In fact, you could always just break them off and just say, be done with it, you know, but if you don't want to do that, which I understand, you aren't going to be able to move this arm very much. He has a full 360 at the bottom of the waist piece here, and his ab crunch joint is very good. Mine can go quite far back, can also from side to side, and there's a rotation at the ab crunch, which is nice. The legs can come slightly forward, but they are hindered by the PVC skirt. They can come out to the sides slightly, but once again they are hindered. I don't recommend that you move NECA waist joints too much, as the legs could start going loose, but then you do have a slight swivel there, which is nice. There are double jointed legs, so you can bring them back really far, which is nice. And lastly, the feet do have ball joints, so you can go from side to side, forward and back. And yeah, it's all about just getting the Predator to balance, which mine does really well, actually. So for articulation, very good. Taking a look at his cannon accessory, that is on a ball joint, which works really well and can lean forward and back. Just be very, very careful with these though, guys, because they are fragile. I've been quite lucky with mine. Like I say, you've got another rubber cable out the back, and to attach this, you'll see these little holes at the back and also on the shoulder there, so you kind of just line up the pieces. I recommend you plug the back bit in first and then just push this into the gap. When you find it, it should lock into place really well, and then you have his shoulder cannon, which really just completes the look for this Predator. So turning to accessories now, guys, aside from the shoulder cannon, he does come with a combi stick, which has been done in this very kind of video game-esque pattern. You can see it's very simple colours. You've got some light browns with some sort of reds mixed in there, and these white spots on the thin bits and the larger bits, which I'm not really sure what that's about, but it has exactly the same sculpting detail as it is on the City Hunters and all of them from the Predator 2 clan. It does have that exact same detail. Unfortunately, though, fitting this into the hand is quite difficult. It is this hand, but you really do have to pry the fingers away to fit it in, so just be careful when you're doing that, but you can get him to grab it. It does work. I've tried, so I might see if I can get that done by the end of the video. But the main accessory, and the one that I will be displaying this Predator with because it's so awesome, is the smart gun. So what's interesting is the Predators that are in this video game wave actually use marine weapons. And as you can see, just making a quick comparison with the smart gun that came with my Space Marine Ripley, they're exactly the same sculpt. However, it does have these lighter paint areas to match the colour scheme that's on the Warrior Predator itself, which is very, very cool. I really, really love that. And to be honest, this is a Predator that I would actually display fighting with the Marines, because I just think that would be a really cool way to display it. So we'll see if we can get this in his hands, and I'll be back in just a moment. And so here he is, guys, all armoured up. I love displaying him with the Space Marine Ripley. I think that looks awesome. I really wish I could get a Vasquez figure, but she's quite hard to get hold of now, so fingers crossed NECA will re-release her soon. Maybe for the 40th anniversary of Aliens. Just an idea there, NECA. But yeah, this guy looks absolutely awesome. So we'll just take away Ripley for a moment, and we'll take a look at what he looks like. Now, this is the best way I've found to get him posed, and you do need to be careful with the head if you've got the plasma canister on, because you don't want to scratch off the paint. But yeah, I've even got the little cannon facing in the same direction. And yeah, like I say, don't want to stretch this cable too far, but I think this is definitely how I will be displaying him. I might bring one of his legs forward slightly just to make it look like he's really, you know, going to town with this thing. It just looks absolutely awesome. This was what really drew me to this figure, because like, when have you ever seen a Predator using a smart gun? It's just something that's so unique, and I just think it really, I mean, the colour scheme alone makes this figure worth getting, but just having this accessory of the smart gun really does make it something special, and I'm very, very happy that I've picked it up. Overall, my only real complaint about this figure is, sadly, the paint doesn't quite get get there. In some areas you can see there are some splodges here and there, which is a real shame because it's such a beautiful paint job, and just to have these slight imperfections in the more lighter areas, it's quite noticeable, and it is a shame. I understand it's a factory thing, so you have to be really, really lucky with that, but aside from that, this figure is really, really good, and aside from this figure is really, really good, and aside from the quality control issues that I've had, I would still highly recommend this one. In fact, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, which I think is fair. It could have been an 8 or maybe even a 9 had it not been for those quality control issues. I've got to be honest at the end of the day, guys. So if you are able to track this guy down brand new in the box, you know, just be aware that there might be some horror stories coming your way, unfortunately, but as they say, that's the NECA collecting experience, but that is changing. I do believe that is changing. Like I say, this is an older NECA toy, so I was fully going into it expecting there to be a few problems here and there, so yeah. Overall, really, really love this figure, and if you guys haven't got him in your collection yet, I would highly recommend that you do. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I really, really hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope you're all safe and happy wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.